entrepreneurs. You're tuned into the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talk, where we talk about life, love, and business. And we are right on the heels of our Mind of an Entrepreneur Masterclass 2 on money psychology and emotional fitness. I'm so grateful that you all joined us. Assalamu alaikum, everyone who's already here. Brother Lamont, Point Praise 2, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Sister Aletha, Brother Kevin, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you, everyone who joined us this past week for the Mind of an Entrepreneur Masterclass on money psychology. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamil, patience and peace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to do a little bit of a continuation this week, but we're going to have a little bit of a twist to it. So we're going to talk about freedom and how to figure out who you are and what it is that you want. Because let me tell you something. Life is too short. Life is just too short for us to be around here not being able to be our authentic selves and not being able to be free. So I want us to understand that you use your spiritual base, your principles, all these things that we're learning as the foundation of who you are, and then you get up and figure out what you showed up on the planet to do. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to be of service today as well. But first, I got a quick 5-minute video for us. Is that okay with y'all? It's by Matthew McConaughey, and he's talking about just being yourself and trying to figure out who you are. So let's listen to that while everybody comes in the room. Daryl 12, Nate Boogie.
I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey.
Up in the chat.
Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing. Many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim.
Entitlement
you are not.
Trap.
Get over it and get on with it.
Feeling like you're a victim.
So the question that we got to ask ourselves is what success is to us. What success is to you.
What success is to you.
More money? That's fine. I got nothing against money. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now, your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul.
Don't
prioritize
choose
who you
that would
are,
jeopardize
who you
your
want
soul.
to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? So first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then, we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape. Where you are not is as important as where you are. It is just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am, I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step is usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You know that group of friends that you hang out with that they really might not bring out the best in you? You know, they gossip too much or they're kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. Or how about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst hangover from? Or that computer screen, right? The computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. Or how about that food that we keep eating? Stuff that tastes so good going down, it makes us feel like crap the next week. We feel lethargic, we keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, when you quit going there, when you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when's that were keeping you from your identity. But trust me, too many options, I promise you, too many options will make a tyrant of us all. All right, so get rid of the excess, the wasted time. Decrease your options. If you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important to you by process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard.
Knowing who we are is hard.
Give yourself a break.
Give yourself a break.
Not first.
Eliminate who you are not first.
Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. We try our best, we don't always do our best. Architecture is a verb as well. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success. Our joy, our honest pain, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them. And we have more to dissect. Be discerning. Choose it because you want it. Do it because you want to.
He said being yourself is hard.
You got to own them.
You're going to make mistakes.
And you got to make amends.
And you got to make amends.
And you got to move on.
And you got to move
Guilt
on.
and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page. Get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life.
Y'all realize that, right? Figuring out who you are is hard. But let me give you a little hint of something, because I'm in no way, shape, form, or form an expert at this, nor is it something that I can honestly say that I've figured out. But what I will say that leads, good morning, Fab Consulting, welcome. What I will say is this, and that is that if you start to define yourself by how you're going to be of service or in some form of service, like I talked to you guys, that was Matthew McConaughey. I talked to you guys about how I want to help other people. I want to help you become happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love. And then finding ways to do that is a better way to define yourself or be on the road to define yourself or to create momentum than if you define yourself by adjectives. I'm beautiful. I'm perfect. I'm all of that. If that's your definition, if you have these adjectives in your head that are your definition of who you are, you will always fall short of the mark. You will always only succeed to the extent that you meet that adjective. So if you define yourself as beautiful, then you'll only go into situations or deal with things where you look beautiful. If you define yourself as perfect, you will only succeed and you will only experience success in situations where you can be perfect. But what about defining yourself based on how you serve? If you define yourself based on how you serve, then everything serves you. Let me say that again. If you define yourself based on how you serve, then everything around you will serve you. So when I say I want to help you all become happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love, I start to get a lot of momentum from that, right? Why? Because that means now I have to be a certain way in order so that I could be of service to you. If I say, I'm not that professor, I'm the person who speaks from a space of experience. So then I have to allow myself to go through experiences. I have to be able to reflect on those experiences. And in doing that, you release some of the resistance of trying to live up to that adjective. So many good people are trapped and have been trapped and have lost so much momentum and have died with their dreams on the table because they're defining themselves by some arbitrary adjective. So I want you to think about, what adjective have you been subconsciously using to define yourself? Some people say, I'm just all that. And you see a lot of people walking around like that. They don't care what happens around them. They just want to be all that. And generally those people, if you look at them, they'll reach marginal levels of success, but the extraordinary levels of success that we talk about reaching here in the Sajdah Circle of Winners, they'll never get there. Because when you're trying to be of service, when you allow yourself to get out up over your skis, you're going to get scraped up, you're going to get beat up, you're going to fall down, it might not be pretty, other people going to see you, and in going through all of that, then Allah can mold you and He say, aha, there it is. I broke her open. There it is. I broke him open. I broke them open to get to the good part. And a lot of what we talked about on the money psychology class had to do with allowing ourselves to be broken open like that, right? Where we say, you know what, I got to just let go of who I am. I had a cousin who used to always say, well, I'm frugal. I'm a frugal dude. Well, you know what? Sometimes you can't be frugal. Sometimes you got to be willing to spend the money that you need to spend if you're trying to invest in that business. If you're trying to open up that business, you got to spend the money. Sometimes if you're trying to help people or be of service, you may have to spend the money. You might not be able to be frugal. You may have somebody in your life, a family or friend, that is in a dire situation. They may have been falsely arrested. They may have been rightly arrested. And you need to jump in to save them and help them out. Well, that ain't the time to be frugal. That's the time to be of service. So to break yourself of that, yes, Brother Jamil, you got to get some hickeys on your head and get to the good part. Broke open, just thought of the cracked atom. Yeah, amen. That's right. When you allow yourself to break open, to completely submit and allow, that's where the gooey, sweet nugget is. That's the good stuff. That's when you can find out who you are. But we have to get away from finding these adjectives, these arbitrary adjectives that we define ourselves by, because those arbitrary adjectives will have us stuck in the quicksand. And there's so many great people out here who do that. It's interesting because I had a manager in an internship one time who actually told me that. And he wasn't a very nice person. He just kind of would just kind of bark at us and tell us stuff. And one day he said to me, "Who are you? And who are you trying to be?" And part of it is because I didn't give my all on the job or on the internship. He could see me holding back because I wanted to make sure that I got everything done perfectly. And he chided me because he said, it ain't even your job. You a damn intern. Just do what you're supposed to do and move on. And I thought, wow. And so then I started to flip my thinking. Instead of saying, I got to get this 100% right, I started saying, I got to give more of service value than what it is that I receive. So I always got a service ace in the hole in my back pocket. But I started to define myself and define my intentions for my projects and relationships based on how I could be of service. And to break yourself of that, one of the things that I would suggest that you try is every single day, you got to try to do one thing to be of service to someone other than yourself. One thing. Because people who are working with you, they can see you holding back. They can see you ain't really into it. People who are in relationship with you, they can tell you ain't really about it. You can talk a game. You can make them feel that way, but they can tell you're not all the way in. So the reason why you might not be all the way in is because going all the way in does not align with your adjective that you've used to define yourself. And then, one of the things, I talked about this on Thursday, one of the first things I asked my client, different questions, but basically I said, what do you want? Or if I already know what they want, then I start to be of service to what they want. Not what I want, not how I want to serve them. I see people all the time saying, oh, I service the consulting community, or I serve as a chief operating officer, or I serve as a executive assistant. But have you ever stopped and asked those people you serve how best you can serve them? Have you ever thought about that? And so I ask my clients, how can I serve them? How can I be of service? What can I do for you? If they don't know what they want and they can't articulate it, then that's the beginning of our exercise together. Let's start to define what you need. Let's start to figure that out so that I can be of service to that. Not of service to you based on the way you want to be of service to me or you. I can't just serve you the way I want to serve you, because at the end of the day, then I'm just serving myself. I'm in it to satisfy that adjective. I'm in it for the money. When you go to a restaurant, they figure out how to serve you. They figure out how to make sure that they are taking care of you. They do surveys. They ask you questions. Companies spend thousands, millions of dollars on analytics. They spend a lot of money on analytics. What are the analytics? So that they can know their customer, so that they can know how best to serve you. Now, when they take off and go into predatory capitalism is when they decide, yeah, I know they want real potatoes with their French fries, but we're just going to serve them this fake stuff. They ain't going to know no different. You see? So it's like mixing truth with falsehood. You take the true data, you figure out who your customer is, you figure out what they want, and then you say, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, though. You're no more than the predators that you try to say that you're different than. I'm going to say that again. When you mix truth with falsehood, you take the data, you know what the customer wants, you know what the client likes, you know how to best be of service to the client. You say, I know they like French fries. I see the data on that. I know how many times a day they eat French fries. I know how many times a week they eat French fries. I know what they want. I know they want their French fries hot and crispy with a little salt on them. I know all of that. But you know what I'm going to do? I ain't going to give them no real French fries. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. I'm going to take what I've analyzed and the information that I've analyzed, and I'm going to use it to deceive them and serve them the way I want to serve them. You're really just the devil. And I know that's harsh for a lot of us as conscious entrepreneurs because we've learned this crap from corporate America, or we've learned this crap from people who are advising us, who make us think that this is the best way to do business. This is why I like teaching young people. This is why I like sharing these concepts with our teens, our preteens, and our young entrepreneurs, so that before some predator gets a hold of them and takes advantage of them and teaches them to define themselves by adjectives and teaches them to take the data that they know is the truth and manipulate the data, or take the data and do something different and try to pass it off as service, before they do all of that, I'd like to get in their head and teach them how to truly be of service. And there's so much that I've learned from this man that I've been able to take and just expound upon. But there's not a time that I've gotten on the phone with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan where he has not said, after we exchange the greetings, how may I serve you? How may I be of service to you? Every single time. And I started thinking about that. And I started playing that around in my head. And I started thinking about how he is and who he is and what he is. And I said, he doesn't take our data and decide he's going to serve us the way he wants to serve us. See, we all think we handling proper handling of people because we real fake. Thank you. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. All right. But are you really being of service? Are you really, really, really being of service? Because he is truly of service to us. And the measures of his success and his ascension into divinity is so obvious because of the pure way in which he knows how to serve us. And we don't like the word when we say we're being hypocritical. We talked about that on Thursday. But we're being hypocritical when we're divided. When we're being fake. We're being fake people. We're not moving in the right way. How do you keep it real? If you don't feel like doing something, just say, you know what? I don't know if I feel like that today. Or if you know that a person really needs you at that moment and really needs your help, then what you need to do is say, you know what? Let me put down what I want. Let me just put down for a second who I am. And let me just go and be of service. So that's the reason why, as we define being conscious entrepreneurs, we talk about having a bottom line in addition to our net profit that we use as our level of service. So I'm a professional woman. My platform is my community, my people, my Black Muslim family, my nation. That's part of my platform. That's my primary platform. And that's how I want to be of service. And then you have to figure out, okay, then how can I be of service in the best way? And you know, the biggest thing and the thing that is so hard for us to do is to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. If you know you went to put them pants on this morning and you couldn't button them, but you lying to yourself that you've been exercising and you've been on a diet, you're being a hypocrite to yourself. And remember, success hates hypocrites. Money hates hypocrites. If you go to put that shirt on and it's way too tight, but you know you ain't been eating right. You know you ain't moved up off that couch. You know you ain't left the apartment. You know you ain't lifted a knee. Then you're being fake to yourself. So let's be honest. Let's get out there. Let's move. See, movement Let me tell you something about movement. Movement, which a derivative of that is in the word emotion, motion, to emote, to move. And so movement, you know how we started doing our hand gestures for flow. Movement is what makes or what produces life. If you don't move, you're going to die. So you got to move off of what's not working for you. We got to move off of what's holding us back. And we know what those things are. We have to be honest with ourselves. Straight up honest with ourselves. And then once we're as honest as possible as we can be with ourselves, then we can hire somebody, say like myself, to help us see past our blind spots. What's hurting this? Be for real. Your authenticity is your attraction. That's right. See, because you have to figure out what you showed up on the planet to do. You know, I started saying that because, man, years ago, and this is how movement and motion helps you. And some of you all know these stories of when I started selling real estate in Chicago in the 90s. And in the 90s, Chicago was not the Chicago it is today. There's a lot of nice, beautiful places in Chicago today. There's a lot of negative stuff happening. I honestly don't see how more negative stuff happens today than it did in the 90s. I actually just don't believe that because everywhere was hood almost in the 90s. It was bad. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was at a friend's house. In fact about it, I know exactly who I was with. I was with Mother Tynetta and Minister Ishmael and his then wife, Sister Raquel. And we were having dinner. And my cousin called me. And he said, "Hey, cuz, what you doing?" I said, "Hey, I'm at a friend's house. We having dinner." He was like, "Let's get our real estate licenses." I said, "Okay, cool." I said, "Where we gonna go?" He said, "We can go to Olive Harvey College. They got a quick course. We should be able to knock that out." I said, "Okay, let's do it." Got off the phone. And maybe 2 days later, I went by his house. I'm like, "Cuz, we getting our real estate license?" Because they said we got to pay the $65 for class. And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to do it with you. But I could tell by that point, he really wasn't feeling it. I was excited about it because I always wanted to be a mogul. I always wanted to be an example of professionalism and business in our community. So I was like, selling real estate, that's good. That'll be a good way to make, extra money. This is before selling real estate became a fad. This is when you really had to get out there and sell. And so he came to class a little bit. Mostly I think he would come with me because it was a late class, like 7 o'clock at night. By the time we got out, it would be like 10. And he'd be like, "I'm going to go with you, cuz, so you don't have to leave late." But I don't think he ever even took the test. I took the test, passed it the first time. Scored like really super high. I was into it. Got set up at a real estate office in Hyde Park in Chicago. This is when I used to see Barack Obama all the time outside trying to get people to vote. And I just kind of knew him like, "Hey, brother," he had a little afro. And I got into this office, this real estate office. I was a green, young Muslim woman, still working at that time for the National Center and for the minister. And I didn't really understand how cutthroat black people could be. See, I'd already had a little bit of stint through internships and working in public accounting a little bit where I understood how racism and sexism played a part in the professional world, but I did not understand what it meant to work with my people. I didn't get it. And I was getting bumped around, right? I was like the you know how you play bumper pool and you just getting bumped and oh, I was getting bumped. And I just was like, I got to figure this out. Part of the reason why I struggled is because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be the top person on that sales board, not because I really wanted to be that top person on the sales board, but because I wanted to be perfect. So they was bumping me around, and perfect Wendy would have just quit, because I started to see very early on that I'm going to have to scrap. I'm going to have to roll up my sleeves and fight. And I remember having conversations with myself because my mama taught me how to fight. So I was like, I know I can fight. So I was in this office. There were some black women who were getting it. I mean, they were successful. They was getting whole condo units that they were listing and selling it. And one sister sold so many condos for a developer that he gave her one. This is how good they were in that office. But would not one of them lift a finger to help me. And I think back on that now and how that was probably by design. Allah designed it that way, but I didn't think that at the time. Now I see exactly. I'm like, okay, Allah, you ain't slick. I see this. So nobody in the office would help me. And every week we would have these, we'd have to come in for a meeting. They'd have coffee, and they would just talk about this person sold this one, $235, $550, $1 million, just places after places. They were all living in beautiful places. I didn't know how to sell, and I didn't know how to close. So I started saying, okay, what do I do? What can I do that they don't know how to do? And the first thing I thought about was Master Father Muhammad. And I said, okay, he came here by himself. I'm over here by myself. I'm sure it wasn't easy. This ain't easy. He started going door to door and establishing what he wanted to establish by trading and doing business with people. Eventually, people came out to meetings, and the rest is history. So back then, in order to get a listing, you didn't just cold call people, because people would look on the caller ID and not answer you. And so there was some people I would cold call. So I started going door to door. And I went door to door, up and down South Shore, up and down in Hyde Park, up and down all those neighborhoods. And do you know the one thing I remember most when I was going up and down those neighborhoods is that 1 and 3 houses had a picture of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the house. And maybe Master Father Muhammad, but mostly the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And what I didn't know was that Allah was implanting in me, through me trying to define how I was going to be of service, how much work he had done. And I believe to tie me emotionally with his picture. 1 and 3 houses. I promise you, I kid you not. All up and down the south side of Chicago. And I did that for months. I didn't get one listing, but I saw his picture. And then there was a new development happening in Avalon Park. And I happened to be in the office that day. And I literally had started to write out who I was, because my previous definition of myself had been based on a a predatory school system that made me think that I had to dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and that I had to be perfect in order to be successful, because the real goal was to just please the slave master and get a good job. And so I started to, I would listen to the minister's tapes in my Walkman as I was walking from house to house. I would listen to Tony Robbins. I started way back then listening to him. And I started to change. And I said, what do you want? Wendy, I asked myself that question. I looked in the mirror and I said, what do you want? I said, I want to help people not have to go through this shit. Way back then, I said, I want to help people gain access. I can't necessarily help them go to college, because here I am, Miss Super Intelligent, Honor Society, all of that. And, in my Walkman. But what do I want? I want to help people not have to go through this shit. And I want to help people live a better life. I didn't have the happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love yet, but I want to help people have a better life. If that means I can help them buy a house, if that means that I can help them understand how to do this, and I said, and I will not be like those sisters over here in this office who are mean. The whole mean girl thing. They got coffee in the office. They don't even offer me none. They don't even speak. Funny thing about it is a lot of them still in that same office trying to struggle to do the same thing. But I went up and down the blocks. And when my mind started to change on who I was, then I started to get opportunities. The first one was the development in Avalon Park. And they were paying me $100 for every person I could just tell about the new development and give them information on. I think I remember making like a couple $1,000s on that. And I was like, okay. And then the broker came to me. He saw how much I was working and hustling. I didn't know how to define for my customers what they wanted, because I was still young and green, and I had in my head how I was going to be of service, what hours I was going to work, how I was going to do it, who I was going to do it with. I had all that set up in my head, but I never asked my customers, what do you want? Until one day, it was a sister, a black doctor, and her husband was a professional athlete or ex-professional athlete, and they wanted to buy a big mansion in Hyde Park. And that's the first time I had an opportunity to go into Muhammad Ali's house. It's the first time I actually saw the Elijah Muhammad house. And so we were going into all these properties in Hyde Park, and I started, look at Allah laying the base. I started learning the history of the community. Like, oh, that's the Goodyear Mansion. Oh, that's the Singer Sewing Machine people. Oh, that's the shampoo people. That's Alberto Culver. Okay, I started learning. Oh, this is where Wrigley lived, and down here, this is where the Comiskey's live. Okay. And some reason I was really caught up in that. I love that. And the one day that I sat down with the sister who was a doctor, she was running me up and down Hyde Park. We was looking at property after property, and I was chasing the carrot, because y'all know those properties over there are $1 million plus. And I was like, if I can close one of these, but I never asked her how I could be of service to her. And one day she invited me for coffee at Starbucks in Hyde Park. And she said that to me. She said, I've been running you around for 3 months. And she said, and I know you really just want to get the sale. She said, but I'm going to go with another real estate agent, because that real estate agent asked me what I wanted and how they could serve me. Talk about a tough lesson. And from that day on, every time I got an opportunity to have a customer, to have a client, I still do it to this day. I said, what is it that you want? And how can I be of service to you. I never set out like I did back then, just doing it my way. See, that's that predatory corporate way, but somebody had told me that. Somebody had told me how you do it, where you go, what you say. Tell her don't call you after this time. And, she was a doctor. So sometimes she would call me like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night and say, I want to see these properties. But I wouldn't answer the phone because somebody told me to put some parameters around it and blah, blah, blah. And she dropped me. And then the fight had to start to come out of me, because by this time I was wasting so much time. I was racking up bills, because when you have your own business like that, you start having fees and stuff like that to pay. And I was in the office, and then the broker said to me, there's a Italian guy who has a portfolio of 5 to 6 properties. He said, and nobody else in the office wants them. I didn't have sense enough to say where was they. I said, I'll take them. I didn't have sense enough to go, let me, what's the address? I just was like, I'll take them. Because now I'm starting to define how I want to serve. Now I understand what questions I need to ask. I really felt like I had been dogged out, because the other lady used me for 3 or 4 months to see every piece of inventory in Hyde Park and went with another agent. I didn't know how to fight her. I didn't know what to say to my broker, because she stung me because she told me I wasn't perfect. And when she stung me, she took the fight up out of me. So now I'm like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. When he gave me the addresses, all of the properties were on the west side in K-Town. If you know anything about the west side in the 90s, not like the west side today, west side in the 90s was rough. It was like Southeast DC, or, certain areas that you go to. And I remember not understanding what was happening over there. And one of my good friends, her name is Tony, I went and picked her up. I said, I need you to teach. She's from the west side. I said, I need you to teach me what's going on over here. Number one, I don't understand why everybody's standing outside in white t-shirts. She was like, are you serious? I was like, and what are they yelling? So she drove me around and was explaining to me, these are people doing certain things. They selling certain stuff. They announcing the product, da-da-da-da-da. And then I told her, I said, well, I have these properties. Not even Longdale, Jamil. Longdale, Holman and all that, it had started to turn around. This was like deep K-Town. I'm talking about like Kilpatrick, Kildare, up in there. Yeah, that's exactly what they were saying, bro, ANTD. Yeah, there you go, Letha. K-Town, Costner, Keeler, all the K Street names, all up in there, from Monroe to the other side of Lake Street. No, from Jackson to the other side of Lake Street. And again, Allah is really something, because later I would end up teaching orientation and helping us to establish a mosque over there. But at this time, I didn't know that. So Tony said, you need to go back to your boss and tell him you can't do this. She said, because this ain't gonna work. Because she was scared for me. And I remember the one house, it was a beautiful old mansion that I think one of Al Capone's boys or something used to live in. But all the bros was in front with their white t-shirts on, running up, putting stuff inside the license plates. They was all on the porch. And all 3 of the properties that I got the listing on were like that. So I remember saying, how do I get these brothers out from in front of this house and on this porch, because I need this sale. And I'm okay not looking perfect to do it. And I'll speed up the story because we're running short on time. But Tony said, you crazy. I said, what do I do? She said, girl, the only way you can do it is you got to go talk to who calling it in the neighborhood, and you can't talk to them. They gang leaders. I was like, I got to do something. So she was like, no. So I found out who was calling it in that neighborhood, who was in charge. Walked up to the brother. I won't describe him because some people might know him, but he was a real scary dude. He happened to be out there one day, and I walked up. I was like, hello. Hi. He was like, sup? And I said, I'm a new real estate agent. I'm not the police. I'm just trying to sell this house right here. This house is for sale. And I just need, I need your help, sir, please. I said, anybody moving in this neighborhood, they know it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes from downtown. They know they got to be a pioneer, but I at least need them to move out from in the front and off the porch. Like, I got an open house on Sunday. He looked at me. He said, all right. And everybody was like, girl, he is not going to move them dudes and clear. And I said, and then, sir, I'm talking like this, wringing my hand. I said, and then, sir, this one across the street is also part of the portfolio. I said, the other one's down the street. We'll worry about that one later, okay? But if you can just help me with these two right here that are across the street. I said, I'm just trying to get my money just like y'all trying to get y'all money. I'm not the police. I ain't trying to be in y'all business. But I'm not doing really well at this career that I've chosen of selling real estate. And I just need some help. And he just turned around and walked away. And I was like, oh, Lord, this ain't going to work. So I just went home and I prayed. And I said, I'm out up over my skis. I said, I'll never have the street savvy that these people have, but I know my gut. I got a mean intuition. And when I came back over there Sunday morning, there wasn't a soul on that block. And wasn't nobody on the porch. Not one. And I sold that house, and I sold the one across the street. And when I pulled up in front of the other one that was a few blocks down, I saw them. They looked at me. I looked at them, and they cleared the block. And I sold it. And so I'm saying all that in that story was that I had to give up who I thought I was. I had to fall down and get embarrassed and damn near not be able to pay my bills and really struggle. Not only in order to make it in that sales career because I was not taught to sell, but it laid the total foundation for who I am today, for where I am today, and what it is that I was doing. And let me tell you something. I also learned not to discriminate against people. Because you see, my little bougie friends over there in Hyde Park, those sisters working in the office that had the big fancy homes and all that, they would not lift a finger to help me. But here this so-called chief, who don't know me from Adam, listen to my story. And all he did was just move the guys out of the way. We didn't have a whole lot of conversations. They were just gone. And I would see him. He would nod. I would wave. But it also taught me to not judge people, to not prejudge people, and to not worry about where my help would come from. And then here I am years later, 20-something years later, when I purchased the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the minister says to me, don't worry about where your help is going to come from. You see, I already had learned that lesson, but I forgot it. I learned it. I learned it through struggle. So that's why I'm saying define yourself by something other than the adjective that you've put in your head that you are. I had to let go of all those adjectives to go over there, talk to the chief, to deal with this doctor for 3 months and all these months and who didn't help me, to be able to get clients just before I could even attract a client at a certain level. And then I had to learn how to say, who do I need to be in order to get in front of big checks? Because whoever I am, I'm in front of the little checks. I want to get in front of the big checks. And who I needed to be was I had to be fearless. I had to stop judging people. I had to redefine myself based on the level of service. And I had to stop worrying about what other people were saying about me. So I'm saying that to you. We talked about, we started off with this Matthew McConaughey little 5-minute motivation where he talked about define who you are. That's right, brother. I just kept going. Praise be to Allah. I just kept going. Just kept going. My knees were scraped up. Head was busted. Ankles busted. Knuckles busted. Embarrassed. I was embarrassed and nervous when I had to go to that man, and scared because I didn't know how they was going to see me. First thing I said was, I'm not the police. I'm just trying to get my money just like you trying to get yours. And Allah bless me. So I'm saying to you, get out up over your skis. Let yourself go. A lot of people would say, but Wendy, that was crazy. That was dangerous. You probably shouldn't. And it probably was dangerous. And it probably was crazy. But I later learned that I'm a little crazy. And I'm okay with that. And you got to be a little crazy in order to get up out of this world. What you need to get up out of is so that you could be of service based on the way that you've defined yourself. And from then I understood I got to go. I've done Tough Mudders and CrossFit. I hurt my knee on a Tough Mudder. And to this day, when I kneel down for prayer, I feel it. But why? Because I wanted to be able to go through that process so I could take my brain through that process. I wanted to take my brain through the process of building $1 million project for myself before I even talk to you about that. Because if I haven't told you some of the things that I had to navigate through and overcome, then I can't really teach you how to do it. I'm just talking. I'm being of service to myself. So, all right, y'all, listen, thank you for listening. Thank you. I hope, I'm sorry my story was so long, but I just wanted to paint that picture, and it's a lot more colorful than what I said, but I think you guys get the picture. Remember, preservation matters. Okay? Preservation matters. Help us with the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Please get your commemorative Sajdah, commemorative Elijah coin today or immediately. Look, go to sajdahhouse.com, put the discount code in HEM4847. This is how we are going to preserve this legacy. I've been looking at money that they got grants out there. They got all this stuff. I want to do this independently for the messenger. And then later when we bring y'all in to speak or participate, we'll get money for services. But right now, we're going to grind it out based on our own independent ecosystem. So get the coin, repost it. If you can't afford the coin, do me a favor, go to my page, repost the ad for the coins. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Stay tuned. I'm working on the next masterclass. I'm thankful that you all enjoyed it. If you attended and you haven't given any feedback, go to IG, give the feedback, and inshallah, I'll see y'all Wednesday for the hottest show on IGTV, the Mo Today series on Black Muslim businesses. Peace and blessings, family, and happy Saturday.